If you're brave enough to step into the wilderness, the bosses out here drop some serious bank, especially when you consider that they're pretty easy to get to grips with. And let's not kid ourselves, the risk is part of the fun. Besides the loot and the fact they have mechanics that are actually worth learning, there's loads of other reasons the Wildy bosses slap. Every one of them has a multi and a single combat version, depending on if you've got a squad that's willing to come along. Don't forget that you can kill them with ridiculously powerful and surprisingly cheap wilderness weapons and budget-friendly blighted supplies, making the whole experience way less painful. Today we're going to cover the spider bosses Venenatis and Spindel. This guide will show you how to minimise risk, maximise your damage and master every mechanic you need, and if you hold out to the end, the best ways to escape PKers so you leave the wilderness richer than you came in. Alright, let's talk about gear. We'll keep this simple. Melee is the easiest way to crush these bosses. It hits hard, doesn't rely on stupidly expensive items, and it's harder to make mistakes with some of the mechanics that we'll be going through soon. Top tip, bring stuff you can actually afford to lose because, yep, PKers exist. You'll keep your 3 most expensive items unless you get skulled by attacking another player first. Your weapon is the only slot that might cost you a bit of GP. If you can, bring an Ursine Chainmace, it's honestly the best option. If you don't have one, Vigorous Chainmace is still pretty good, and if you're on a tighter budget, a Zombie Axe or Zamarakian Hasta will do the job just fine. Whatever you decide to go with, just make sure it's set to crush. If you do choose one of the wilderness weapons, just remember they do need to be charged with Resonant Ether, which you will lose if you get PK'd. For the rest of your gear, this is all super safe. I'm not going to waste your time reading you a list. What you need to know is that you'll only lose around 300k if you die in this setup, and it's perfectly fine for reliably killing both of these bosses. The full setup is on screen now, and you can look in the video description too. If you do want to risk a bit more, just bring gear that's going to increase your strength bonus and your crush accuracy. You don't need to bring an extra spec weapon. If you bought the Ursine, just use that. Otherwise, don't bother. Quick note, ranged is an option here. If you want me to make a separate video on that, let me know in the comments. It does make dodging mechanics and escaping PKers a bit easier, but it's way more reliant on some pricier gear. And melee does let you cheese this boss's main mechanic. For your inventory, you can save a ton of money by using blighted supplies. They work exactly like normal food and potions, but they're way cheaper and only usable in the wilderness. For healing and prayer, bring around 4 blighted super restores and as many blighted manta rays as you can. Swapping out 4 of the mantas for some Karamboans is a good option if you know how to combo eat. This can save your life if a PK gets on you. Bring a stamina potion, anti-venom and a super combat potion. These don't have blighted versions, so unfortunately no money saving here. A quick switch to darts or throwing knives is really handy for dealing with some of the extra spawns, and like any Wildy content, bring a teleport that works up to level 30 wilderness. A royal seed pod or an amulet of glory can be the difference between life and death. Finally, bring a looting bag. It lets you stash drops and massively extends your trips. You might spot some optional extras. I've bought some super budget anti-PK options. A rune crossbow and an arcan blade. They aren't going to get me any big PKs, but they might scare off some stinky gimps trying to be the next Doda block and killing me for my super valuable mixed hide armor. If you want to know more about anti-PKing, I've linked a guide from one of my buddies X-Tile in the pinned comment. Definitely give it a watch. Now you know what to bring, how do we get here? If you're tackling Venenatis, the multi-combat version, you can find her in the Silk Chasm. The easiest way to get here is using the Wilderness Crab's teleport and running west. Spindel is the easier single combat version. She's located in the Web Chasm. Use a dueling ring to get to the Ferox Enclave and then run to the ruins to the north. It costs 50k to enter the arenas, but don't worry, you'll make it back very quickly. Payment will be taken straight from your bank. Venenatis and Spindel require the medium and hard wilderness diaries respectively. We'll cover all of the mechanics that you need to smash out both of these bosses now, but before we do, if this has helped so far, drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. If you want to support the channel even more, you can grab some sweet merch from CreatorCrafted using my 10% discount code. They've got loads of awesome RuneScape merch, pin badges, desk mats, LED lights, all community designed and genuinely cool stuff. There's a link in the description with the discount code 10BOOT. Alright, mechanics time, and this is the good news. Venenatis and Spindel are basically the same fight. Learn one and you've learned both. The only real differences are the boss's stats and how dangerous the wilderness is around you, not how the boss actually works. We'll show you how to kill the bosses first, then hit you with some PK escape tips. Both spiders can use melee, ranged and magic, but if you're standing in melee distance, they'll only melee you. Ranged is a green projectile, magic is a blue star, and melee is pretty self-explanatory. We'll hopefully be spending the entire fight in melee ranged, so you won't need to worry too much about switching prayers. It's going to be more effective to just close the distance and force more melee attacks, keeping protection from melee up the whole time. The fight runs on an extremely predictable loop. The boss will do 4 ranged attacks. On the first ranged attack, she'll spawn some spiders. Kill them with your darts. Then she'll move, you'll chase her, she'll do 4 more ranged attacks, then she'll move again. This exact cycle repeats again with magic. However, instead of using the spiderlings on attack number 1, she'll launch an orb at you on attack 3. This orb explodes into a web attack that you need to avoid. It's not essential, but do try and keep count of the attacks just in case. It's not uncommon to run out of stamina whilst you're learning, leaving you stuck tanking ranged or magic hits whilst you walk slowly towards the boss. If you end up in this situation, get on the correct prayer straight away and switch back to melee when you get close. When the spiderlings spawn, these are your top priority. They don't look scary, but if you leave them alive, they drain your prayer, they boost the boss's damage and let her hit through your prayers. If the spiderlings are alive, you're gonna get slapped. The only good news is they've got 5 HP, so literally anything kills them. That's why we've got darts or knives. Switch out, smash the spiderlings, and get back on the boss. The web is pretty dangerous, it doesn't damage you too much, but it's got some nasty extra effects. When the web orb explodes, you'll notice a big sticky web covering a pretty large area. You take constant damage if you stand in it. Your prayer and run energy will be heavily drained. No run energy in the wilderness means no escape, so avoid this at all costs. If you've watched my other videos, this is the #1 RuneScape golden rule: don't stand in the shit on the floor. The easiest way to deal with it is to pre-move. When you see the web coming, step to the side so it lands somewhere safe and doesn't block your escape path. If it catches you out, just get out of it as soon as possible. If you think this is sounding easy, you haven't met the real final boss you'll be fighting. It's this guy. Nobody serious is PKing here. This dude in full Zerisians tried to kill me repeatedly with no luck. I swear, looking at this footage, you'd find it hard to believe he's not a paid actor. But you can escape dudes like this. The little anti-PK switches help, but honestly, you don't need them. Let's be real, you're not going to have a 100% survival rate. The goal is just to get out with the loot often enough that you turn a profit. Let's cover the escape methods and then give you a bit more of a general idea about surviving PKers. When you enter the arena, you'll always spawn on the north side. For both bosses, but especially Venenatis, try to hang south as much as possible. You're above level 30 wilderness here, so teleporting is not an option. If PKers show up, you need to get to the exit at the far south as soon as possible. You'll have to run through the escape caves, your prayer is drained over time, and it's filled with spiders and bears that can't be prayed against. You'll want to get out of here fast. Run around the edge and find an exit that will take you to a random opening in the wilderness. From here, just run south. When you're a bit more familiar with the wilderness, there are some other options like using the obelisks, but overthinking too hard when you're not familiar will get you killed. For Spindel, things are way more forgiving. She's below level 30 wilderness, so you can just teleport out if things get sketchy. If you're as slow as me, you will still get teleblocked. No big deal, same strategy, get out and run south. Always watch the north side of the arena. The second you see a white dot, assume it's a PKer and get out of there. If a PKer jumps in, turn on Protect from Magic straight away. Most of them are going to try and catch a freeze and teleblock you, leaving you unable to do much but pray for your life. Your priority is to keep your HP above 0, pray against whatever combat style they're using, and then just focus on putting distance between you and the PKer, running as far south as you can as quickly as possible. If you don't get out of the cave, you'll still have the spiders' attacks to deal with, as well as the PKers. Prioritize praying against the spider most of the time, they're more predictable than a PKer. If you are teleblocked, but can get out of combat for 10 seconds, logging out is also an option. If you want to level up the PK escape game, bring in freezes and some magic switches is an option, Blighted, Entangle, and Ice Axe are pretty cheap, making this viable. If you land a freeze, you can easily hide behind a tree and spam that log out button. You will die sometimes, that's the wilderness, but if you leave early and don't get greedy, you'll escape way more often than you die, and the boss is insanely profitable. So, a quick recap. These spider bosses are great money, they're easy to learn, and the wilderness risk is absolutely worth it. Melee is the easiest setup, cheap, strong, and forgiving. Bring gear you're happy to lose, and let the weapon do the work. Use blighted supplies to keep costs low and trips long. Watch the north side of the arena at all times. If you see a player, leave early, don't get greedy. At Spindel, teleport away instantly. At Venenatis, run south, pray mage, and just get the hell out of there. You will die occasionally, it's normal, but if you play it safe and reset early, you'll still walk away with serious profit. As always, a massive thanks to my channel members and Twitch subscribers. You're all legends, I appreciate the support. Thanks for sticking around, I'll see you next time.